A U.S. airstrike has killed the leader of the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. That's according to announcements by both U.S. President Trump and the Venezuelan government, which aided the operation. The State Department designated the group a foreign terrorist organization last year, while U.S. prosecutors leveled racketeering, drug, and firearms charges against him. President Trump shared this footage purporting to show what he called a swift and lethal kinetic strike that killed Hector Rustenford Guerrero Flores, who's also known as Niño Guerrero. While posting on Truth Social, Trump also said this action was coordinated closely with our friends in Venezuela, with whom we are working very well. As a result, Tren de Aragua terrorists no longer have safe haven in Venezuela or anywhere else. Let's bring in Stephen Dudley. He is the co-founder and co-director of Inside Crime, which is a think tank focused on organized crime in the Americas. Stephen, welcome to DW. So we understand that Tren de Aragua actually started out as a prison gang in Venezuela some 2 decades ago. Just how powerful is this criminal organization today?
The organization has gone through a lot of changes since it started, of course. It spent many years using the prison as its epicenter. From there, it spread into Venezuela, into various parts of Venezuela. And from there, with huge amounts of Venezuelan migrants going to other countries, it followed them. So we're talking about a presence in Colombia, in Peru, in Chile, and some very, very small cells in the United States. So it has spread its wings. Now, having said that, it is a very decentralized organization at this stage, and the killing of Niño Guerrero will probably exacerbate that.
And what kind of criminal activities is this group involved in?
This group has long been involved in things such as contraband, small drug trafficking operations, local drug peddling, those sorts of things. But with its expansion, it moved into all kinds of activities: migrant smuggling, human smuggling, some small levels of international drug trafficking. And as it's spread into other countries, it has moved very steadily into extortion. This is perhaps the part of the gang or the activity of the gang that most impacts civilians. And this extortion has given them a huge amount of proceeds, to the point where they have been connected now to multi-million-dollar movements through cryptocurrencies in places like Chile. So obviously this is a big moneymaker for members of the gang that are operational in places like Chile.
Well, last year, the Trump administration designated Tren de Aragua as a terrorist organization. How much of a national security threat does it actually pose to the United States?
Well, as it relates to the United States, very little threat. It has certainly been used as a pretext for crackdowns on undocumented migrants, particularly Venezuelans in the United States. But the fact of the matter is that they have very, very small presence in the United States. And contrary to what the United States government has alleged, there is no kind of central authority that is directing them or their operations in the United States. So as it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to many of these other countries, in particular places like Chile and Peru and Colombia, and obviously Venezuela, where it still has a very strong presence and is operational in illegal mining areas, the area where Niño Guerrero was actually killed is a mining area, it poses a very high threat. So in these other spaces, high threat; to the United States, very, very low threat.
As we noted, the U.S. and Venezuela say they worked together to carry out the operation that killed Niño Guerrero. So how significant is that, considering that the Trump administration accused Venezuela's previous leader, Nicolas Maduro, of cooperating with Tren de Aragua?
Well, as it relates to the United States, very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little direct threat. As it relates to the United States, probably very little Very significant. Obviously, you're noting this 180-degree turn by the United States as it relates to their operational alliance with Venezuelans, or at least part of the Venezuelan military and security forces establishment. So this is a very significant turn and an illustration of just how intertwined these governments have become, even since January, when the Trump administration decided to send in military forces to arrest Nicolas Maduro. So this is a significant turn, and especially if we consider recent history between the two nations, when bilateral relations were strained to the point where the United States didn't even have a diplomatic presence, much less a presence of security forces or counter narcotics forces or anybody else who might have been working hand in hand with the Venezuelan military establishment. So this is a complete about face from where they were just going back to pre-January of this year.
Thank you so much for that, Stephen. That was Stephen Dudley, co-founder and co-director of Insight Crime.
Thank you.